Expectations remain high for Tim Beck at Coastal Carolina. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs have winded down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Certainly plenty over the next couple of weeks with the Olympics going on. Check it out at FanDuel.com. All right, let's talk Coastal Carolina trying to replace the legendary Grayson McCall and the 2024 expectations. Well, let's talk about those expectations because they remain high, and this year could be a little bit tough if Liberty and Jamie Chadwell live up to their expectations and get into a playoff, and Coastal Carolina could have a nice season at 7-5 or 8-4, and still hear all the stuff about Jamie Chadwell and Liberty, although Liberty has one of the easiest schedules, if not the easiest schedule in the nation. So year 2 for Tim Beck. He was asked at Sunbelt Media Days what he learned, and he said it was a whole learning experience. We had to learn the players. We had to learn the coaches. We just had to figure out each other. But I think also Tim Beck made the adjustments on the fly. He tried to implement his offense, pro-style offense, and it didn't quite work for whatever Coastal wanted to do, and Grayson McCall. Whatever offense Jamie Chadwell runs, I don't know what you call it, is very effective. And when run properly, almost impossible to defend. Like a triple freeze option RPO. It's very odd. And we've seen how good Coastal can be in dominating, although some of the talent has, left since, Jamie left and now Grayson's gone. But it can be very dominating when run effectively. And it wasn't, the offense they were running early on in the season wasn't working. And absolutely, Grayson ends up getting hurt. But absolutely, Tim Beck went back to the offense that they used to run with Jamie Chadwell. That was a for sure thing, and it became more effective. Then, unfortunately, Grayson got hurt, and the next quarterback got hurt, and then you get down to Ethan Vasko. And as he said at camp, or at the media days, Ethan went 3-1 with 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. That's pretty good. He's going to be a redshirt sophomore. Does have some competition in camp, but someone's going to have to win that job. Someone's going to have to take that job away from him, I would think. All right. In terms of the expectations, Coastal Carolina is another one of those teams, and this is recently, right? They're used to winning. They weren't used to winning, but they are now. The last handful of years, they're used to winning. Like Georgia Southern's used to winning. Like JMU is used to winning. Like App State is used to winning. Like Marshall is used to winning, right? And not everybody can win at the same time. The other thing that Tim Beck said was, they brought in 66 new players. That's a lot. That's not, he's in year 2. I get it's the portal, but 66 a lot. You had to have a lot of guys leave that either didn't want to be there or they didn't want them there after the first year. You always have, you didn't even need a portal, when new coaches come in and they're just not on the same page. They're not the kind of player. They don't fit the scheme, whatever the case is. There's always attrition when a new coach comes in. This is year 2. That's a lot of players. That's like 75% of the roster, right? Or 75% of the scholarship players. 85 scholarship players, 66 new ones. As Craig Stevenson said, ULM had over 70, but that's a new coach. We'll see if Brian Vincent has those kind of numbers next year. He may have 30 because that may be the norm these days, but have 66 after having what was a rather successful season. I think a bunch of nothing made out of a, picture that he took with the cheerleaders in Hawaii. It was a picture to get the fans excited about the game. Someone made it worse. Some people made it more ridiculous than it was. So he's had a good season. And remember, this is another one of those guys that was a coordinator forever. He's finally getting a chance to be a head coach. This is not a Mike Desimo thing where he's kind of working his way up, right? From, high school coach to, position coach. Not sure he was coordinator under either HUD or Napier, right? So this is different. Like Tim Beck has like 3 decades of football experience. He's been doing this a minute, something along those lines, right? He's not a spring chicken. And so he's learning on the fly, right? Whereas Bob Chesney is bringing in over a decade of experience at JMU. He was kind of learning it under the radar. So they have, Bob, doesn't have nearly as much experience as coaching as Tim Beck does, but Tim Beck doesn't have nearly the head coaching experience that Bob Chesney does. And so Tim, I think, did an amazing job changing on the fly. We're going to do it this way. Wasn't working. You know what? Let's go back to the way it was working. Then we're going to, get our quarterback hurt. And now we got to adjust again and then adjust again. And I think he did a good job. They come away with a bowl victory. They get a winning season. As they introduced the new AD from, I think, South Carolina, right? Just Chance Martin. Is that what I heard his name was? A lot of new baseball coach, new basketball coach, a lot of excitement there in Conway, but the expectations remain high, right? I mean, if you really the only team, and I think they'll probably be better than others do, is Georgia State. I don't know what they expect. I don't know what people expect Georgia State to be. That's kind of like ULM. But I bet you if I ask some, Coastal Carolina fans, who is, what are we expecting this year out of Coastal Carolina? They're going to say, we expect to win it. That's the expectations. It is a little crazy trying to think, well, we were replacing Grayson McCall. Yeah, but Ethan Vasko played last year. A little bit of an advantage. But, and now you're bringing in 66 new players. I presume most of those guys are going to be on the 2 deep. Did you go get depth? I got to believe so. Well, obviously they're not all playing, but I mean, that is 48 guys on the 2 deep, right? No, it'd be 20. My math, 44. I guess plus special teams. All right, so they're still looking for it to be very successful. But now, despite having the 66 players, at least the coaches are all on the same page moving forward. And they can explain what Tim Beck is trying to do, right? I mean, I'm sure after those first few practices, he even mentioned it, our coaching staff had never coached together. So they're kind of coaching the coaches, right? Right? Like, this is what I told you to do. No, this is what you told me to do. I want it this way. No, do it that way type of thing. Well, I've always done it that way. Well, I'd like you to do it this way. And so now everyone's on the same page. And that certainly helps, when the coaches all know what they're doing, it certainly helps the players to know what the coaches want. All right, let's take a time out. We'll talk about, replacing the legendary Grayson McCall. And is that going to fall on the shoulders of redshirt sophomore Ethan Vasko? We will do that right after I tell you about Ibotta, and Factor Meals. Sandals, sunscreens, snacks for kids. What do these have in common? You're probably buying a ton again this summer, but don't stress about the cost. Use Ibotta and get cash back of your purchase when you stock up on all of your summer essentials. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That can cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. That flight you've been eyeing or the fancy dinner you've been crazy. It's time you join the over 50 million users who use Ibotta to earn cash back every time they go shopping. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibotta by using code LOCKEDONCollege when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and using code LOCKEDONCollege. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store. And use code LOCKEDONCollege. And Factor Meals. Warmer, sunny days are calling. Fuel them up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for summer thanks to the chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor Fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious, from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless supply for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 preferences to help manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well-balanced. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 and use code LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. We're talking about Coastal Carolina and the Chanticleers, and it's up to Ethan Vasko to carry on their tradition, if you will, of Grayson McCall. And it's probably going to be done a little bit differently than it was before, but that's where we are now. Now, they do have some competition in terms of the quarterback, only because you got to get, a couple, not only Grayson McCall leave, but other guys left as well. So you had to go out and get some transfers. Now, I would be shocked if it's anybody but, barring injury, obviously, that it's anybody but Ethan Vasko. But they did get Noah Kim from Michigan State, and I think Tad Hudson came in from North Carolina. But he's saying that Ethan Vasko is getting bigger and stronger. He's not small. He's 6'3", 220. And obviously, everything he does is going to be compared, unfortunately, to Grayson McCall. But again, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. And what can he do? Can he surprise? We'll get to that 2024 expectations, because that schedule is tough. They have an absolutely great opportunity to get off to a good start, and the opportunity is there to be really good, but the opportunity is there to fall as well. It is not an easy schedule for Coastal Carolina by any stretch. But I would think it's Ethan Vasko's shot. Also, just the way the schedule lines up, he has a shot, although the first game is really scary. The first game is scary. And they get a nice break right after the first 4 ball games to kind of prepare themselves, probably for the next 2, just the way the schedule is laid out. But so basically what I'm saying is that Ethan Vasko has a shot to get his feet underneath him, so to speak, although he probably already should, right? 3-1, bowl victory. Probably tweaking some things offensively. I mean, that's going to be a thing with 66 new players, trying to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of your players. I mean, I think even, going back to a couple episodes ago when we're talking about the coaches trying to pick the other teams. Tim Beck went up on the stage and goes, I don't know my starting lineup. How can he know anybody else's? And so it'll be interesting on how this shakes down when you do have, 66 new guys. They may not have a an actual two deep until the week before the game, right? If you're going to have two scrimmages, probably not three. If you're going to have two scrimmages, and maybe I don't know if you're going to have three, but maybe a third one, you're not going to know. You may not know until then, right? Some guys, unfortunately, will get injured. It's football. It happens. Some guys will step up, right? Some guys will show up into camp out of shape, take a little bit to get their sea legs going, and then all of a sudden they show up. They don't do anything in the first week and a half of practice. Didn't do well in the first scrimmage. The second scrimmage, oh my God, look at this guy. Then he takes off in that third week and has a great scrimmage, and he goes from not being on the two deep or travel team to starter. I wouldn't be surprised if things like that happen. Just because of the numbers that's coming in, right? I mean, most of these jobs, there's not loyalty is not the right word, but kind of it is, right? A lot of times a coach is going to be loyal to guys that have already been there, right? Like, you got to take that job away from me type of deal, which is what I think Ethan Vasko has. If those guys want it, Noah Kim and Tad want it, they're going to have to take it away. They're going to have to play better than him, right? He's going to get the benefit of the doubt to begin with. But when you have 66 guys, nobody's getting the benefit of the doubt, right? Up for grabs. All the positions are basically up for grabs. I'm sure he's got a couple handfuls of guys back that, he's ready to go with. But other than that, it seems like it's going to be a free-for-all. And so it could take all month. And again, we'll get to it. You don't want to stumble on that first week, but they have a couple of games that they should be able to win and set themselves up for early success. You don't want to lose that first game. But if you can get that first game under your belt and start off the season really well, you got a shot to contend. And I'm saying a shot because it is just not an easy schedule. The opportunity is there, but it is, I think, a brutally hard schedule. So we've talked about that enough. I think Ethan Vasko is going to do a good job. I would more along the lines, kind of almost like a Gio Lopez type deal. Let's see what he looks like in 2 years. Right? Say Ethan Vasko has a solid season again. 7-5, 8-4. If he wins 9 ball games, that's a great year. But, goes 8-4, maybe wins 9 games with a bowl game, right? And it's coming back for his redshirt junior year. And I don't want to say it clicks, but he's ready to roll. That's what I would look for. All right. We'll see if he takes a big leap going into what is his, I wouldn't say second full year of starting, but second year of starting. I think he's going to be fine. A lot to live up to when you're trying to live up to Grayson McCall. All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk about that. Those 2024 expectations. It's going to be a tall hill to climb. We'll do that after I tell you about FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs have winded down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, for every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. You got to take advantage of the Olympics. You could bet on some weird sports that you were not all that familiar with, but you can have a lot of fun with it. Go to FanDuel.com. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. So the first, we're talking Coastal Carolina, year 2 for Tim Beck. Coming off an 8-5 season with a bowl game. And they're playing national TV to begin with at Jacksonville State. Rich Rod, they beat the Cajuns in the New Orleans Bowl last year. This is a dangerous ball game. I got a feeling the stadium is going to be packed. It is on CBS Sports Network. They're going to be jacked. They want to get off to a good start. This isn't the turning point of the season. It would be disappointing to lose. Don't be surprised if Jacksonville State's favored in that game at home. So that's a tough one to start with. Should say expectations are the line now. I actually looked it up on FanDuel.com is 6.5 for Coastal Carolina. 6.5. Well, say you beat Jacksonville State. You beat Jacksonville State. You're getting William and Mary at home. That's a win. That's 2. Then you go into Temple. Temple's been very consistent in the last 3 seasons. In 2021, they were 3-9. In 2022, they were 3-9. In 2023, they were 3-9. They'll probably go 3-9 again. That's a game you got to win. So we're looking at a potential of being, and then you get Virginia at home. You absolutely have a shot to go 3-1 or 4-0. Could go 2-2. Could lose to Virginia. Virginia's not that good, though. Virginia's not that good. No, I'm not buying that. I know it's Power 4 school, but that's a game you should win. Yeah, I'm going to say should, not could. Going on the road to Virginia, you could win that. Playing Virginia at home, should. If they're 3-0, they'll be favored. If they lose a close ball game on the road to Jacksonville State and they're 2-1, they'll still be favored. Now stumble somewhere along the way against William and Mary, or get blown out by Jacksonville State, stumble along, win a close one against William and Mary, and do something bad against Temple, then the season is spinning out of control already. But this team should be 3-1 or 4-0 come Sun Belt play. And what they have is a off week before that. So it's an early off week. They actually they get a lot of, how many Saturday games do they have here out of 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 3 Thursday games. So they have a lot of odd weeks. And it starts again. So they get a nice, doesn't matter. No one's short when you're playing the first game of the year. So that's fine. And then you get 10 days to prepare for William and Mary. That's pretty good. All right. Then you get Temple, and then you get Virginia. Then you get an off week. All right. Now you're hosting ODU. And that is Hall of Fame weekend. That's a whiteout. It could very well start out 5-0. Here's the thing. This is where it gets tricky. You're playing James Madison on ESPN2 on a Thursday. So it's an off week, and Tim Beck's going to be talking about, we're concentrating on ODU. We're not looking ahead. They will prepare for James Madison during that week a little bit anyway. Maybe they won't do it on the field, but the coaches will have James Madison broken down as much as they can. Tough to prepare for a Thursday game after a Saturday game. And that's a big one. It's at JMU, and it's on national TV. That is the big ball game of the season, right? They could be 4-1, 5-0, and you got JMU on a Thursday. We'll count that as a loss right now because it's at JMU. So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They're 5-0. You know what? I'm going to go 4-1. I'm going to say Jacksonville State's going to beat them. They'll still be 4-1, which is odd because they're losing to Jacksonville State but beating Virginia, but that has to do with home and road. So they're 4-1. They lose to James Madison, 4-2. They're at the Cajuns are coming to them. Is that a win? That needs to be a win. That's 5-2. Then they're going to Troy, maybe a loss. 5-3. They're getting App State at home. Is that a win? 6-3. At Marshall, boy, we'll give them a win. 7. That's tough. Then you get Georgia Southern at home. Is that 8? Georgia State, that's 9. Seems like a lot. 9-3. But that is a ridiculously hard schedule. JMU on a Saturday. You do get extra days to prepare for the Cajuns the next Saturday on the 19th. Then you're at Troy, and then you're home on a Thursday night to App State, which very well could be another nationally televised game and have not only Sun Belt title implications, but, national college football playoff implications. It may or may not get easier towards the end with Marshall at Marshall, Georgia Southern at home, and Georgia State in Atlanta. But those 4 ball games are a daunting task. JMU, the Cajuns, Troy, and App. From October 10th to November 7th. Whew, that's tough. That is going to be tough. That's why, if they can start out 5-0 or even 4-1, they'll be in good shape to, I would think, easily surpass that 6.5 total. But if they stub their toe against Jacksonville State, don't beat Virginia, and all of a sudden they're 2-2 going into those 4 ball games, can you do better than 2-2 coming out of those? Which 2 are you beating? Cajuns at home and App at home? Whew, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. With ODU, you're 3-2, 2-2 out of those ball games, 5-4. Yeah. Whew. Tough. It's going to be really important for them to start out fast. And then again, I happen to think it eases up a little bit. We'll see how good Georgia Southern is or Marshall. And again, Georgia State's going to be, here's the thing about Georgia State. Georgia State's going to probably be much better at the end of the year than they are at the beginning of the year. If you want to catch Georgia State, maybe no one knows what they're going to do, but they may not be very good at it. By the time November rolls around, Georgia State may be a much better football team. That's the only thing with playing Georgia State at the end of the year. You want to really play them at the beginning of the year when, as I said, they may not be all on the same page, and it takes time for that to happen. They'll be all on the same page by November. That's the only thing. So you have a good chance to start off fast. The middle portion of the schedule is brutal, and it eases up a little at the end. I think they'll do better. That's a good 6.5. I'll take the 7. I'll take the over on that one. That season looks like it's got 7, 8, or 9 wins potential. All right. We'll see how good they are. And we get it early, right? They open the season up on a Thursday against Jacksonville State. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, special thanks to my nephew, the Samo, for lending me his laptop. And hopefully mine comes back by the end of the week. We're almost at 1,350. So we're not going to get to 1,400 by the end of the month, but we're almost at 1,350 subscribers. Please subscribe. We're still going to try and get to 1,500. I figure with training camp starting, we'll get a bunch of news and more people tuning in to college football as camps open up. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Dave Schultz, and you've been watching and listening to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day,